Dr. Gloria.
Dr. Gloria is a clinical psychologist, author, playwright, screenwriter, and cultural broker.
I am so excited to have you join me in this journey. This is truly a dream come true. But this year has been so difficult for students from K through 12. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, students have been separated from their peers and denied access to their school sites. They've also been unable to participate in proms, homecomings, sports, and even graduations. But the situation is no different for college students. Going to college is a major milestone, but this year it has been difficult for them because they are struggling so desperately to become independent by moving away from home and into college dorms or even other kinds of housing options. These times are filled with stress and strain for these students, their parents, professors, and even administrators. Our guests will provide insight into how students and their parents can navigate their current situation in order to emerge from this experience brand new. We will hear from a college student, a faculty member, and administrator for tools that are necessary for college students to be successful in their pursuit of getting their education.
Dr. Karen Krozer is Associate Professor of English at LA Mission College. Jonathan Richards is a third-year undergraduate student attending the University of Southern California. And Tensie Taylor, author and Associate Director of the University of Southern California Black Alumni Association.
Well, I am so happy to have my guests today because you know that college life has been totally interrupted because of COVID-19. And so our guests today will be experts in helping us to navigate college life for our students. I think some students are not on campus, some are on campus, and we just kind of want to find out what's going on with regards to our college students and how they're going to be able to be successful even in this season. So let me welcome, first of all, Dr. Karen Krozer. How are you? And then
I'm good.
Oh,
Thank you.
wonderful. And then Miss Tensie Taylor and Mr. Jonathan Richards. And both of them are from USC. And so, Dr. Karen, we're going to have you to start out for us and let us know, where you're coming from and give us a little background as to what you do. And we'll get right into our conversation.
Sure. So I'm Dr. Karen Krozer. I'm a tenured English faculty member at LA Mission College, which is a community college here in Los Angeles. And I recently was hired on for a temporary position as distance education specialist. So I'm trying to help train faculty to teach online. And it's been rough seeing all the changes that this is having on our students. My population in particular at LACCD is very low income, and that is a struggle because 1 out of 5 students in LACCD is homeless. And so some of them are actually trying to go to school while living in their cars or staying at shelters. So they don't have access to things like fast Wi-Fi or a really expensive, nice laptop. And so I think the technology and the cost of good technology and good Wi-Fi has been a huge barrier. But also on sort of a social level, I think this whole pandemic is so isolating that it's a lot more of a struggle for students to connect with each other and also with the student services that we have available for them.
Wow. Well, we're going to come back to you because you said a couple of things that are really important for our viewers. And number one, that you work with educators to help them to do this distance learning. And I know that has its own set of challenges, especially for some of our faculty that may be a little bit kind of out of sync with technology, even though they're teaching, but they still may not be as technologically savvy as others. But we're going to come back and talk to you in just a moment. But Miss Tensie, tell us about you and be sure to tell us about that new promotion you just got.
Thank you, Dr. Gloria. Hi, everybody. I am Tensie Taylor, the Associate Director. That's the
Woo!
promotion Dr. Gloria keeps mentioning. Went from assistant to associate
All right.
at USC, University of Southern California. And I really have the pleasure of working with our Black students and ensuring their academic successes as well as their future professional development. I lead our Legacy Through Leadership mentoring program, where
Mm-hmm.
our students have the opportunity to be paired with a Black alum in his or her career field. So
Mm-hmm.
if the student is interested in business, I pair them with an entrepreneur. Interested in education, I prepare them with maybe an educational psychologist, just to show them to show them the ropes of how to navigate USC and how to take full advantage of the opportunities that are offered both inside and outside of the classroom. And as Dr.
Yes.
Krozer said earlier, it's definitely been a trying time at USC
Mm-hmm.
with keeping our students engaged in this virtual world. USC, there's always something going on from football games to pep rallies to tailgates to even study sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's been halted. And so I've been talking to my students and telling them to find creative ways to stay engaged. Back in March, when the pandemic first hit, I reached out to my good friend and USC alum, Devon Franklin, and he
Mm-hmm.
led an hour-long Zoom called A Moment of Inspiration, where
Wow.
he quoted scriptures and just talked to the students about
Mm-hmm.
how to see the big picture and to think of the blessings that you do have. Although we
Mm-hmm.
are in this pandemic, you're alive, you're well, you can still continue your education at USC.
Mm-hmm.
And I really
Yes.
think that kind of motivated and inspired them to get through the pandemic. So I'm looking forward to sharing the knowledge. And I have one of my top students here, Mr. Jonathan Richards. Dr.
Yes.
Gloria, thank you for this.
Well, thank you. And when we come back to you, we have to hear about your book. It has been out now a couple of years, but it is still sweeping the country because it is so powerful. So we'll be sure to talk about that too, all right? Well,
All
Mr.
right.
Jonathan, now you are on the hot seat and you are a student at USC. And tell us about where you are in your studies and are you on campus or off campus, all that good stuff?
Mhm. So currently, I am a junior studying business administration with a minor in sports industries. Um, as of right now, I'm off campus.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I was born in Los Angeles, California, so not too far away from campus, only a 15-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
As of now, currently, I'm across the country in Maryland. So adapting to the time zone now
Yeah.
to 3 hours ahead. So,
Mm-hmm.
all of today I'm worrying about, did I get the time zone right? Am I waking up early enough for my classes? Even for this show, I'm making sure that I get here on time and making sure that this is the right time period for the East Coast and the West Coast. So that's definitely even a lot of what a lot of students are facing this semester as well when they go back home, which I am
Mm-hmm.
fortunate enough to don't have to deal with as much. But other than that, I also actively participate in campus activities. So I'm a part of what is called Brothers Breaking Bread, which is an organization on campus which caters to the Black men on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So we put on programming, professional development. Every year we have a Black men panel that we bring in Black professionals in every field to talk about their studies. I'm also a part of the Black Business Association, which does the same thing but for Black students in business. So basically the same principles. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what I do, where I'm at for this semester. I wish I was on campus, of course, but um, I'm adapting. So,
Yes, very good. Thank you all for giving us that brief introduction about where you are in your work and your studies. And Dr. Krozer, you mentioned these faculty members that have to become more equipped with, providing online studies. What in the world is that like for faculty?
It's a big challenge. I think there are some of us who have been teaching online for a few years. And so for those of us who have done that, it was a fairly easy transition other than just everything going on in the world. But for those who haven't taught online before, it's a lot of higher order learning. You have to learn the technology. You have to learn how to present your class in a way that's clear and user friendly. You have to understand Zoom. You have to understand our learning management system. So I find that a lot of the teachers are very overwhelmed because what you would normally have maybe a year to learn at a leisurely pace now has all the pressure of we have to do this right now and it has to be done immediately. But yeah, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety among professors, and they're definitely overwhelmed,
Wow.
many of them.
And so, what's happening to help those students that you mentioned that are homeless and low income who don't have access to technology like other students may have? How is the university or the college, helping those students?
Well, our district, Los Angeles Community College District, has been giving out Chromebooks, and they have been giving information about Wi-Fi to students, low rate or free Wi-Fi. But I think it's hard because we have 250,000 students in the community college district. That's a lot of people, and that's a lot of technology that's needed. So I know that we're trying to meet that need, and some of that's kind of above my pay grade, what the board is doing. But I'm hoping to see even more initiatives this fall because I think it's a huge need and more resources are needed.
Yes, thank you. Jonathan, this is a time for students to get away from their parents and be on campus and participate in activities. And, because really it's a part of the stage of development for you all to go through where you're seeking your own independence. And so when you aren't able to do that, how is that affecting students? Even psychologically, how is that affecting students that you may know?
I can definitely talk about from students in my grade level, from upperclassmen. It's definitely affecting us in terms of continuing what we started our freshman and sophomore years. So typically during those years, those are the times we build up our repertoire on campus. We actively find out what do we want to do, like what are we passionate about. And so these years where you're juniors and seniors is more dedicated to actually holding in on that. And so I can definitely say for the freshmen and sophomores, definitely the sophomores that I know, they're not given that time and experience nor the opportunity to do that, being that we are at home right now. I can definitely say from some of my friends that are seniors are even kind of questioning if there's going to be a graduation this year, because I do have some friends who graduated last year who wasn't able to be afforded the opportunity to graduate in person. So that's definitely more or less stress added on to us because we don't know the future. And so a lot of the experience, like my experience my junior year, is definitely coming a little bit different than what I expected, of course. But I think now it's more or less even a little bit harder to figure out how can I maximize my experience. And so that's, kind of on the school and also on the other students who's been here. So that's my job as well, to make sure that incoming freshmen or transfer students are able to, at least in some part, be able to afford the same opportunity that I have in some extent. So whether that be virtual events, whether that be recruitment on virtual platforms, is definitely creating a sort of learning curve for both people who have experienced the college experience for the first 2 years or 3 years, in order to provide access to first years. And so it's definitely more or less stress put on us because not only do we have that, we have school. This is a new way of learning. Like Tensie said, we went online in March. So, we kind of got a taste of what that meant going forth. And so kind of our expectations going into this semester was that we were going to come back on campus. So when everything happened, we kind of got thrown back into what we were doing before. So it's definitely us adjusting constantly to different things. This is the first time for everything. So a lot of mistakes are being made both on the students and the university. And so this is definitely kind of like a learning period. And I kind of feel really bad for the first years because of the fact that they're not afforded the college experience that's been advertised. even for, June year, I was expecting to, get an internship or,
Mm-hmm.
go abroad or, even last year I was afforded the opportunity to even go to Africa
Mm-hmm.
through my Marshall School of Business program, but COVID kind of derailed that. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of freshmen are not even getting an opportunity to do programs that we have at USC that kind of afford them to go abroad or even, change the scenery, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's another state in the United States or internships. So I think that's kind of where we are as students. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the attitude,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the position that we're played into.
Yeah. So, what are you all doing to cope? What are students doing to cope with all of these changes and
Mhm.
disappointments?
I, I can definitely say that we're joining a lot of organizations.
Mm-hmm.
I know that orgs that I'm in is trying to plan different game nights virtually. A lot of it has to do with social media. Personally, I know for me, I kind of distress through writing and talking to my friends virtually. I know for me and my friend group, we kind of schedule these Zoom chats to where 10 or 12 of us will hop on the
Mm-hmm.
Zoom and kind of talk about our weeks. I know again too for me, I just started a podcast, so um, I use that period of time to kind of connect with my friends and get a little bit de-stressment or
Mm-hmm.
kind of laid back feel for the week to kind of decompress. So
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely say students are definitely innovating on what they can do to kind of get away or
Mm-hmm.
cope with what's going on right now. But there's
Mm-hmm.
also a lot of students that don't know what to do,
Right.
and there's a lot of students that are sitting at home that they don't know what to do with the new feelings that they're feeling. I know for me, being honest, the workload was definitely different from high school. And
Mm-hmm.
so, there's certain periods of time during my freshman year that I kind of questioned myself. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
questioned my work ethic. And, when I think back to that, it was great that I had it in person because I had my friends, I had my counselors, I had my RA. But now that that's taken away from so many freshmen and transfer
Mm-hmm.
students that this is their first time getting into these type of situations, you know, it comes a time where, they don't know how to deal with things like depression, or they
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to deal with things that ultimately will affect their work habits, their drive. And
Mm-hmm.
so, those are the things that I kind of, me and other students are trying to explore, as upperclassmen to give to the underclassmen or even other upperclassmen, because at this very same time, anybody can be going through that. And
Yeah.
so that's pretty much kind of, how we're coping with it
Mm-hmm.
and how we're trying to find ways to find, kind of a system or a family within this as well.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. Well, Tenzie, tell us how the school is supporting these students that are kind of out of place right now. What are they doing to help the students?
Great question, Dr. Gloria. So when COVID first hit, our president, Dr. Foltz, she sent out a memo, and all departments and organizations, we had to stop fundraising for ourselves personally. And
Mm-hmm.
we each put on our websites to donate to the COVID fund to
Mm.
help students get laptops, to get funding. Maybe students who are from another country who can't get to that country, how can we provide financially for them to get what is needed? So I
Mm-hmm.
can say that USC has been excellent in stepping up in raising funds to
Mm-hmm.
help our students, even faculty and staff. They've been really, really great with that. We are part of the Trojan family, so we do
Mm-hmm.
look out for one another. One of the things that I want to highlight is last Sunday, we had a first ever USC Black convocation. So, and we did
Wow.
this virtually. And
Mm.
so, even during this time of the pandemic, Jonathan mentioned about how students are trying to find creative avenues. Two students spearheaded this event because typically, when the semester starts, we have what is called a Labor Day barbecue. And the
Uh-huh.
students, faculty, and staff, we come, we break bread together, we learn about different campus organizations, just have an overall fun time.
Mm-hmm.
So, we knew we couldn't do that since we
Right.
got the notice that students couldn't come back on campus. And so these two students, Jasmine and Jakaya, spearheaded, she's like, let's have a Black convocation called BCon. And so
Wow.
more than 180 people tuned in via Zoom. It was live streamed on
Amazing.
YouTube. So even hundreds more tuned in that way. So again, even in a pandemic, our
Mm-hmm.
students are using their creative juices to bring about excellent programming to their peers. And a lot of the students who attended it, we had a virtual tour for
Mm-hmm.
students. They were
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh, I'm not on campus, but I feel like I'm on campus. I know
Uh-huh.
the resources that are there for me.
Yeah.
And so that's what I like to operate on. Dr. Gloria, you know me, I'm an optimist. I'm
Yes.
very vivacious. I don't like negativity.
Yeah.
So when the students were coming to me, and of course I was listening to their concerns, I always wanted to leave them feeling uplifted
Mm-hmm.
and inspired. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is what we're in now, but what can you do to get
Right.
out of this rut? And
Mm-hmm.
a good friend has told me, if you're always flexible, you're never been out of shape, right?
Yeah.
So when you're flexible, you're able to go with the flow,
Yeah, that's
then life
good.
gets easier. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, life gets easier. So I'm like, think about it this way. You're in this pandemic, you're still getting your education,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get your degree. Talk about years from now, bragging about how you survived the pandemic and still came out on top. Let's
Yeah.
think of it that way. And
Mm-hmm.
that changes their mindset
Mm-hmm.
of, I'm not having this, I'm not having this, but what can I do to exercise my brain? How can I market myself even more
Mm-hmm.
to get that internship, to get that job, since I don't have that in-person connection? So I've spent a lot of Zooms, I've spent a lot of conference calls
Mm-hmm.
talking with students, friends, even other employees, just trying to keep them motivated
Mm-hmm.
and engaged. I'm like, how are you spending your time? Me,
Mm-hmm.
I picked up my trumpet again.
Mm-hmm.
Find something to get your mind off of what's going on in the world. And when they think of it
Absolutely.
that way, then it switches. So I'm all about seeing the glass as half full.
Uh-huh.
Let's be real, but let's
Yeah.
also be great because we
That's
can be great
right.
in this pandemic.
That's right. That's awesome. And it's so good because we have more time to do some of those things. We don't have a lot of distractions. So, this is a great time to create and start preparing yourself for your future. That's wonderful. So, in our last moments, I'm going to ask each of you, starting with Dr. Krozer, to kind of give some words of encouragement to students and faculty, because I think we have to remember our faculty. They're struggling too. This is difficult. And I certainly want Jonathan to say something to our students. And then, Tensie, when you finish, I would like you to tell us about your book, okay? So let's go with Dr. Krozer and tell us something encouraging to our viewers.
I'd kind of like to kind of extend what Tensie said because I think she did such a good job. What I tell my students every day in my classes is you're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things going on right now. There's so many valid excuses to not focus on your work or your school, but they're here, they're showing up, they're facing the discomfort, all the things that are going on in the world, and they're pursuing their academic goals, some of them even if they're homeless. It's inspiring and amazing. So I
Mm-hmm.
tell them, you inspire me, and don't give up. And if this is hard, it's because it is hard and you are pushing through to do something a lot of people can't do. So
Mm-hmm.
stay the course and you'll be glad that you did. And then for teachers, I tell them, it takes time to master something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not perfect out of the gate, you have to accept that. But to me, what I think is the most important thing beyond understanding every tech thing that you could do is humanizing your online instruction.
Mm-hmm.
More than being perfect at Zoom, more than having the perfect Canvas course, students will remember if you seemed like you cared.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that by encouraging students, by telling them, even just saying 2020 is a crazy year and this, I understand that this isn't easy. Let them know that you understand that these are difficult times and you respect the hard work that's there. And that they will remember that long after they forget the way you messed up the Zoom screen sharing, right? So
Yes.
just keep your human side, put that out there, and your students, you'll reach them.
That's right. And so they know we're all in this together. That's awesome. Well, Jonathan, what would you say to students to encourage them?
I would definitely say that there's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel. It is moments like these that build you to be even stronger. You're already in this position. You already worked so hard to put yourself in this position where you have to take Zoom classes online, you gotta go forward, because these are the moments that people look at, that they say, I like this person, I want them to work for me. It's these moments that will make you a great CEO. There's going to be moments like this. It's going to make you a proud designer. So many other things that I can list out. These are the moments that you are made to shine. Is these moments that you're showing professors that you can go through adversity. These moments that you're showing your school that you can graduate with a 4.0 through a pandemic. I know these times are not going to be easy as well. It's okay to fail as well. I think another big thing that I learned is that if I failed, it's time to just pick myself back up and go ahead on the next journey, because of the fact that if we sit here and we think about what's going on in the world and we're not doing anything, then it's going to keep on being the same. So you got to push forward. You got to get to the next step, because with that next step comes with prosperity. So that's all I got to say.
Ooh, boy, look at our young people. I love it. That's wonderful. Thank you. And Tensie, I want you to talk to parents, because I know that even though when kids go to college, for some reason, they are perceived as adults because they're 18 most times. And, the school doesn't interact with them as much as they would when they were in high school. But, what can you tell parents? And then tell us about your book.
Yes. So parents and students too, I would say be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace. Even with Zoom calls, technology, backgrounds, anything can happen. I think last Monday, first day of school for LAUSD, and Zoom crashed.
Yeah.
What do? That's life. So give yourself grace. Be kind to yourself. I know many people have spoken to me. They beat themselves up. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. But I'm like, but you woke up and you're doing the best you can. And that's what matters. So in this world with all that's going on, give yourself grace and kindness, which is a perfect segue into my book right here. Bully Bully from Terror to Triumph, my survival story. And so I mentioned about being kind and giving grace. And this is my memoir of how I was bullied relentlessly, physically, verbally, and emotionally for 13 years. From having my trophies kicked on the floor, to students pushing me and kicking me in the gym locker room, to somebody even threatening my life. I went through a lot in my 13 years from kindergarten through 12th grade, but I persevered. And as Jonathan mentioned earlier, it made me stronger. And so a lot of people see me now when they'll see me on this talk show, they'll see me on my red carpet in Hollywood, and they think I've had this great life. And I have, but I've had a lot of challenges. I had a lot of people who told me what I couldn't do. I've had a lot of people be mean to me and disgruntling, but I never gave up, which is why I talk to so many young people and say, don't give up.
Yes.
Keep going, because those same people who bully you or who are malicious to you are going to be your fans and admirers one day.
Yeah.
Because the same people who bullied me and made fun because I didn't wear name brand clothes, they see me with my selfie with Oprah. They see me getting my hair done by Beyonce's mom. They see me with Denzel. And now what? Oh my God, I know her. I went to school with her. Tables have turned. So keep the faith. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, as Jonathan said, and never let people take you out of character. I have had so many people try me, but my faith kept me strong and cool, calm, and collected. I don't ever want anybody to take me out of who I truly am. So with this whole social media age, in this pandemic, bullying sadly is still very prevalent. So again, I'm a resource for you all. Be kind. If you see somebody being bullied, say something. And to those who are bullied, know that you matter. The reason someone bullies you is because inwardly they see something special in you and that they're jealous of that. But instead of telling you what they admire about you, they want to bring you down to make themselves feel better. So operate in excellence, keep going, and who knows, you might be taking a selfie with Oprah one day too.
Yeah. That's wonderful. This is a perfect way to end our show. I appreciate you all so much for coming on. I know every student every teacher, every parent who listens to this and watches it, they're going to feel like they can take something away to help them to navigate, because we don't know when this thing is going to be over. So, we may be experiencing this the rest of the year. And so it just feels good to have someone with lived experiences and professional experiences to help us to navigate. So thank you again for being on the show. And Jonathan, we wish you well in your studies, and we know you're going to do some great, great things. Bye, you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Dr. Gloria. My name is Tim Owens.
And I'm Jazz Owens. When the pandemic first hit, our son was in his second semester of his freshman year in college. And despite the pandemic, he ended with a very successful first year. But now that he's entered into his second year, all of his classes continue to be virtual. So we feel like the pandemic has truly disrupted his ability to have a traditional college experience.
Our question is, what can we do to help him navigate the challenges of isolated learning and lack of social interaction, and just to keep him motivated?
Any advice you can provide us would be very appreciated.
Thank you, Tim and Jazz. I thank you so much for that question, because so many people are asking the same question right now. So it's very important for you to help your son to know that this is a temporary situation. We don't know when it will end, but we do know that eventually there will be another sense of normalcy. And so let him know that this is also life. Life is filled with changes, and I think the more we can equip our children to understand that change is inevitable, it helps them to encounter and go through anything in a better way. And then let him know that it's important for him to connect with organizations on campus. Even though they will be virtual, it will help him to stay connected. So once again, thank you for that question. Thank you for watching my very first episode of A Brand New Me with Dr. Gloria. I really hope that you have been able to gain some information that is helpful to you. But I want to leave you with something. I love you, and there is nothing you can do about it. See you next time.
Perhaps you've seen something in this episode that has caused you to want to dig deeper, ask more questions, get more answers. Well, you can always ask Dr. Gloria by sending a video question to brandnewmewithdrgloria@gmail.com.